Everybody likes to have the last word in a debate or discussion, argument, whatever. Seems important to us to be able to have the last word, and we sometimes forget that without a first word, there wouldn't be a last word. It's actually the first word which makes everything that follows possible. And that's the way it is too as we look in the Bible in Genesis, the very first chapter. We talked about the great God who created. If we believe in a creator God, how amazing, how immense, how beyond our understanding and dimension he is. And the question is raised, well, does he communicate with us? Well, we find out in verse 3 of Genesis 1 that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. There was the first word recorded in the Bible that anyone ever said, and it was God. God said, "Let there be light." There was a problem. Verse 2, darkness was upon the face of the deep. The Spirit of God moved, hovered, brooded upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And from that first word, everything else followed as we go through the account of creation going forward. Let there be light. The light was the word that was spoken that made all the difference to follow. There's an interesting verse in John chapter 1, and if you go to verse 1 of John chapter 1, it's a little bit debated, that verse, but it's very clear if we read it from the original Greek. But let's go all the way down to verse 5 in our reading. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and God was the Word. This one was in the beginning with God. All things through him came to pass, and without him nothing came to pass, not one. And in him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light in the darkness is shining, and the darkness is not overcoming it, cannot overcome it. Here we have a word that it says is God himself. It's God's word, God speaking and giving light. The life of men was the light, and it was the word of God. In verse 14, it gets a little bit more bold of John 1 and says, "This word became flesh and dwelt among us." And we want to remember the first word. It gets it all started, let there be light. Light will always win. There may be times of darkness, but the light will overcome. Darkness can never displace light, but light always displaces darkness. It's only when light leaves that darkness can reign. But when light comes, darkness must leave. It is dispelled. And it does say all throughout Genesis 1, there was evening and there was morning, day 1, evening, there morning, day 2. Always the morning is after the darkness. That's the way even the Jewish calendar today. The day starts with evening, finishes morning. The darkness never wins. And as we look at the end of what the Bible has to say, it ends with a new heavens and new earth and an eternal day. No night there, it says. So we may be going through times of darkness, but we know that darkness cannot win. The light will always overcome. And we must be in the light. We must know the light. And when we are, the victory is guaranteed.